Chapter 3. It was rare for me to keep my word when it came to my mental health, but I didn't walk into that office until 12:01 p.m. the following afternoon. Thankfully, I figured nobody would care, considering we knocked out 3 skips in one day. That was like winning the gold medal in the Olympics. Another gold medal win for me that morning. Nobody had touched my cruller. It was still in the donut box on Kathy's desk. "Don't worry, I kept the vultures away," Kathy smiled, pausing on an online pop culture gossip blog to turn to me. Kathy was a combination of a caring grandmother and a secretive wild aunt. "Thank you, I appreciate it," I smiled. "Breakfast is served." Kathy smiled before going on to cyberbully the stars. Yeah, she could be a little toxic. Mariah and Alison were both at their desks. Mariah was trying to check her email, while Alison was swiping through nudes. "Jesus Christ, superstar, are you looking at porn?" "It's not porn," Alison defensively barked back at me. "It's just nudes from some guys. It's only porn if it's mass distributed." Is that the official difference between nudes and porn? "How would you know, Matty? The only messages you get from guys are, 'Hey, do you know of any hot singles?'" I thought about saying something rude, but Mariah cut in. "Helen wants to see us at 1 o'clock. Something about a major case that she wants to give us." "Who cares about that?" Alison poo-pooed Mariah's important update. "Did any of you notice I started a diet today?" Do people usually have a noticeable difference in the first 6 hours of being on a diet? I asked casually, which made Alison's eyes turn to slits of venom. "What kind of diet?" Mariah asked. "It's a total no carbohydrate deal, no bread and all that shit. After I restrain myself from all those carbs, it'll help me on the right track to thinness." When Alison went on a diet, she became more emotionally imbalanced as time continued. At first, you didn't notice anything, but then her language becomes increasingly vulgar, her actions become desperate, and she turns into a bull on the smallest things. The longer she held onto the diet's rules, the worse she got. It usually ended in the course of a week or two before Alison returned to normal life for a couple of months before the next diet craze influenced her. "How could you be on a no-carb diet? You ate a muffin this morning." Mariah pointed to a muffin wrapper on Alison's desk. "So I'm not the best at following diets, but I'm going to stick to it," Alison commented. "But you didn't stick to it at all," I informed her. "If anything, you stuck that muffin down your throat." I deserve some credit for trying," Alison snapped. "We could give you credit for the amount of trying you did," Mariah suggested, turning to me. "So, none?" I giggled. "What's with y'all today?" Sean asked, walking over to our desks. "Alison looks hungrier than usual, Mariah looks more tired than a red light district the morning after, and Matty seems more anxious than a bunch of rabbits." Sean was one of our co-workers. He was tall and heavy, with curly black hair and a joker's grin. He thought of himself as funny, but I tended to think he was more accurately annoying. "What's with you today?" Alison turned around, pointing at his outfit. "You look like you got dressed at a junkyard." "All right, forget I said anything. Do you guys have any skips today?" "We're caught up," I shrugged. "Unless Helen gives us something, we have a meeting with her at 1. "Good luck. It's probably giving you hard work without compliments," Sean winked. "Where's Amber?" Mariah questioned, and as if summoned, Amber arrived behind Sean. "I'm here." Amber had one of those asymmetrical haircuts that was long in the front and short in the back. She wears edgy jeans and hard-style clothes like today's red leather jacket. Amber was quiet and sharp, like an observant mother hawk. "You guys got all your skips?" Amber said, raising her eyebrows in disbelief. "Aren't you surprised?" Mariah wanted to know. "A bit." Amber nodded with a suppressed chuckle. 2's a company, 3's a crowd. "Trust me, being with you is a crowd." Alison's voice was a dagger directed at Amber. "I'm glad to be working with Mariah and Matty." "I'm sure they're excited to be with you," Amber said in a dry sarcasm that went over Alison's head. "They sure do. I'll be back. My diet is messing up with my bowels." Alison sped-walked to the bathroom and slammed the door. "Yep, you can tell that Alison is on a diet." "What are you two arguing about?" I asked Amber. "Whatever it is, it's stupid. Mariah and I have a system when we work together, and Alison has just been blowing up our system the way she's blowing up that bathroom. Can't you two apologize to each other and get back to work?" "If she apologized to me, I'd forgive her," Amber scathingly said. For someone who thinks they're above others, shouldn't this be easy? Mariah said sarcastically. Whatever. Sean and I have a case to handle. Amber coldly turned and walked away. I'm trying to get these two back together, Sean told me, referring to the Alison and Amber rift. Which is wild, because I do love working with Amber. What's Dana doing? I asked. Sean's regular partner was Dana, a very lovely woman with martial arts experience. She's off this week, Sean explained. She needed a break, and having Amber on our team was a perfect opening. Sean made his way back to his desk on the other side of a large section of files that we nicknamed a file world. Let's just say Zalewski Bonds and Investigations was a bit backwards in the digital age. Do you think Helen can push up our meeting to now? I asked. Why at 1? Let's go ask. Should we wait for Alison? My eyes turned to the bathroom, where I could hear faint huffing and puffing that meant some door had blown wide open. We could fill Alison in on the details, I nodded. Less than a minute later, I was standing at Helen's door, which was surprisingly open to the public. That 1 p.m. meeting, can we have that now? I asked. We're all caught up on work. Oh, sure. Helen didn't appear to care, as long as it didn't cost her a penny. Where's Alison? Shitting out carbs, Mariah said casually as I closed the door to Helen's office. We both took a seat in front of Helen. I have a big case for the three of you, Helen informed us. It's a $500,000 bond. I whistled. That could easily be a few $1,000s in my pocket, but then I gulped, remembering that when the bond was that high, it was often for major crimes. Helen tossed a folder at Mariah and I. I grabbed it off the desk and opened it to see a picture of a professional-looking man in a suit. His name is Larry Elroy. He used to work at that power plant. He murdered his wife's boyfriend, and his wife's sister. Then he went and drove his car off a cliff, which hurt 4 people at the park, all in 1 single hour. Damn, Mariah muttered. So this guy will be tried for 3 first-degree murders, assault, public endangerment, skipping bail? He's a 4-star winner, I agreed. You mean 5 stars? Mariah corrected me. No, sometimes you have 4-star ratings. I've never heard of that. Neither have I, Helen added in. Whatever, back to the case, I angrily replied. Larry Elroy says he didn't do it. Helen rolled her eyes softly as if she was listening to weak excuses. According to him, anyway. So I let him out on bail. You gave him bail because you thought he was innocent? I mocked. Helen only looked at this like a business. She was not a humanitarian. Between him and his lawyer, I took a chance, and now I have more egg on my face than a child at a breakfast buffet. This company's reputation is now in the gutter. This company's reputation couldn't slide into the gutter. It was already in the gutter. Elroy's address is on Sprunter Street, Mariah mused while looking through the folder. We can check out his house, but he's probably not even home. Most likely he's not there, Helen responded. He might have even skipped town, but try and investigate. Check for family, friends, and work buddies. We have to find this guy. Why would he do something like this? I asked. The first part makes sense. Cheating wife, lover, crime of passion and all. But killing his wife's sister, driving that car off the cliff, it feels a bit too much, doesn't it? It does, Helen nodded. I think he might be innocent. Didn't you just accuse him of lying about his claims of innocence? I pointed out. I'm keeping my options open. Either way, this is more than just a broken bail. I think there's an investigation here that you might need to uncover in order to find Larry Elroy, and maybe you'll prove him innocent. That would do wonders for our reputation. Maybe take our reputation out of the gutter and into the alleyway. Great. A bond and a mystery. It's like a you pick two situation, I beseeched. Another question. Do we have to take Alison with us? Yes, why do you ask? Helen wondered. Maybe because she's overviolent, constantly hungry, and prone to emotional outbursts, and now she's on a diet. Oomph. I could tell that Helen could relate to that description. Just work with Alison for a couple more weeks. She and Amber were having too much drama. Besides, Alison has some good strengths that you could use to your advantage. If you think about it, Larry Elroy might be armed, so it's better to bring up the violent one, especially with you two bleeding liberals. The door to Helen's office burst open, and Jack Doohickey walked in. Hello, everyone, Doohickey announced as if we cared. He aimed a look of displeasure at Mariah and I like we were black mold in his bathroom. What are you doing here? Mariah asked. I thought the jackass competition was today at the county fair. You could have won first place. And the prize money could have gone to surgery for your small brain, I added. Sorry, but I've gone to the other competition, the sexy competition, Jack snorted, which was on brand since he was a pig. Oh, I agree. It's not all about winning. It's about having the delusions to enter a competition you have no business entering, I chuckled. Yeah, everyone knows it's fun to lose and get last place, Mariah smiled. Helen closed her eyes and rubbed her temple. Helen called me in, Doohickey explained. For what? Mariah flared up. Probably to tell you that you're a bitch in person. Doohickey slowly turned the color of the apple I had this morning for breakfast. What are you trying to say, Lockwood? That you're a bitch. Shall I say it again? Both of you shut up, Helen yelled. Gosh, it's like teaching. My mother told me that I should become an astronaut, but no. I opened a fucking bonded investigations office and staffed it with incompetent children. I thought your mother wanted you to open a corner candy store, I asked. Helen looked pissed off, which was probably our cue to leave the office. Okay, Mariah, Matty, get the hell out of here and get on with the damn case, Helen snapped, and we left Helen to deal with Doohickey. I walked over to the bathroom and knocked on the door. Alison, I called, we have a major case. 2 minutes later, Alison opened the bathroom. Not only had she stunk up the small unisex bathroom, but she had found time to change. She was wearing silver spandex pants with a yellow shirt with Hottie written on the chest in red sequin script. It looks like the fashion police don't do many hours around this neighborhood, I told Mariah. And even if they do, Alison would probably shoot them down with her gun, Mariah countered. So what's the plan? Alison asked. What did Helen want? We have a 6-digit bailer, Mariah told her. That sounds like some good money. It would have been better money if it was just Mariah and I working the case, but Helen was right. We should use Alison's skills for the good of the case, like her ability to yell at people or start drama. Sean walked over real quick. How about we all meet up for dinner at Pacific East? Sean asked. I could even see if Dana would want to hang off on her off time. Sure. I know we had just gotten it, but Pacific East was so delicious, you could easily go there a couple times a week. Yep, Amber nodded. 6 p.m., as long as I don't have to sit next to Alison. Fine, but I'm still coming, because Pacific East is amazing. Alison might be proud, but she was never too proud to turn down excellent sushi. With our next task outlined in detail by Helen, we climbed into Alison's Mercedes. Sprunter Street was roughly 10 minutes from the office, and the drive only had a couple turns. After breaking a few driving laws and guidelines, Alison parked the car right outside Larry Elroy's slightly fancy suburban house. We knocked on the front door and hoped Larry was stupid enough to open the door. The silence which came from the house was deafening. Either he knew what we were here for, or Larry was long gone. I looked through the garage window and noticed his wife's car, but Larry Elroy's car was gone. I think Elroy's left, I informed Mariah and Alison. Well, no shit. He's more gone than my cousin Leandra's ex-boyfriend Rich when Leandra said that she was pregnant. Why don't we go and see if the neighbors know anything? Mariah suggested. They might be helpful. We plowed over to Elroy's neighbor and knocked on their door. The door opened up and I gasped. It was Miss Doriander, the president of the city's Crimson Hat Society and my former third-grade teacher. Even back in third grade, Miss Doriander hated me. I don't know how you could hate a third grader, especially a third grader who would never have a problem with any teacher ever again. Maybe it was an aura thing? Miss Doriander's hatred of me only became worse last year when I was still a newbie. A skip ran into the Crimson Hat Society's meeting. Sadly, it caused a shootout. No one was injured, but Miss Doriander remembered as if she was Pepperidge Farm when it came to incriminating stories. No, it's Matty Iapen. Miss Doriander's wrinkled face became extra wrinkled. My least favorite third-grade student and a terrible bounty hunter who almost killed a bunch of old ladies by chasing their criminal into our meeting. What do you want? I'm making a spice cake, and I need to make sure it doesn't burn. Miss Doriander wished she was the neighbor who made delicious baked goods, but from personal experience, I could tell you that her baked goods were terrible. They were usually some combination of dry, gummy, bitter, too raw, too stale, or too doughy. We're trying to track down your neighbor, Larry Elroy, Mariah said with a tinny smile. Do you know where he went? I don't know. Do I look like a stalker? Miss Doriander yelled. Yes, What is Larry Elroy like? Did you ever suspect that Elroy would be capable of committing 3 murders, assault, and public endangerment?
That doesn't surprise me.
Miss Doriander shrugged.
I only met him 2 times. The first time I met him, we had a party, and he made fun of my younger sister Eloise's dish, and I snapped at him. Then the second time, I confronted him about a remark he said about my cooking.
I bet Larry Elroy's comments about her cooking were accurate. Welcome to the neighborhood, where you could be convicted of murder for making fun of someone's cooking.
Is that it, Mr. Iapen? Miss Doriander asked. I can't tell if I want to help track down a criminal or if I want to make your work harder. Both are viable options.
Well, thank you for your help, I said with a fake smile.
I'd rather help a trash can.
Miss Doriander slammed the door in our faces. I was a bit miffed. There goes the helpful neighbor theory. If nosy Miss Doriander didn't notice anything, I doubt anyone else in the neighborhood saw anything. We are not going anywhere until we get some sort of information, Alison informed us as if we were stupid investigators. So why don't we look for some evidence by, looking through his windows and back door? That seems okay, I told Alison. As long as we made it legal, we would be fine. But then again, Alison's style of investigating things usually involved illegal methods. Alison, Mariah, and I peeked through the windows of Elroy's house, looking like gas meter attendants who were lost. I wonder if we could get inside, I mused. Let's call David and Anthony. Maybe they can get us into the house. Anthony was Alison's brother, who happened to be a police officer. Anthony and his partner David would try and help us as much as they could, without getting into too much trouble.
Shit! Alison cried. My brother and his partner won't let us get inside. They'll repurpose us or something.
Do you mean reprimand us? Mariah pieced together.
Whatever the damn word is, Alison growled, and she pulled out her gun, Richard.
Mariah and I stepped back several paces. Next, Alison pulled out a silencer and attached it to the gun. Is she about to? Mariah was interrupted by a silenced bullet slamming into the door's lock. The door swung open and fell backward. This is what Helen meant when she said use Alison's special skill sets, I sighed. Breaking into locked houses with guns modified with silencers.
Breaking into houses?
Alison looked insulted and taken aback as she took off the silencer and shoved it back into her purse.
We didn't break into the house. The door was like that. So are we going to stand out here and chit-chat, or are we going to go inside and investigate?
Alison held her gun like a cop and slowly entered Elroy's house. Mariah and I followed. I turned to look over Mrs. Doriander's house. She was bending over to get her spice cake, undisturbed from the break-in. I felt bad for whoever was going to have Mrs. Doriander's spice cake. It was probably drier than Las Vegas without booze.